What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another ticker fee video and welcome to the ticker fee family. So today we're going to be talking about ticker symbol TRCH and MMATF, or what we all know it as Torchlight Energy and Metamaterials. Guys, I am super excited to be talking about these two companies. You know, it's all about having skin in the game, and I can tell you right now I have a lot riding on this whole just merger. And so I am super pumped to talk about them. So it's all about the facts, just all about the facts. So we're going to be talking about the transaction summary, the Form 8K and the SEC and what that has to do with the merger, the NASDAQ listing requirements, Metamaterials technology, unbelievable. Again, I just enjoy talking about them. And then we'll finish and follow up with the chart analysis. But guys, for everyone that's been supporting me so far, it means so much, and I really do appreciate it. I'm just going to continue. So thank you so much for the support. And if you're here for the first time, I really do appreciate you checking out this channel. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so transaction summary. So the following is a summary of the key terms, and that's going to be that the current report on Form 8K to be filed by Torchlight with the SEC. So I don't know if you saw that, but I wanted to point that out because not everybody knows what the Form 8K is, or if they might have saw that, but they might have just brushed it off. So we're going to talk about that here really soon. But the other thing is this. Torchlight and Metamaterial will be combined such that at the closing, Torchlight will own approximately 25% of the combined company, with the former equity holders of Metamaterial owning the remaining approximately 75% of the combined company. Now, let's talk about that Form 8K, known as SEC. Now, also known as the Form 8K, the report notifies the public of events, including acquisitions, bankruptcy, the resignation of directors, or changes in the fiscal year. Now, again, the SEC requires the 8K to announce significant events. Companies have 4 business days to file an 8K, and public companies that use the Form 8K as needed, unlike some other forms. So there also is a form of a 4K as well, so keep that in mind. But this one we're talking about specifically is going to be the 8K. And so it's a valuable source of complete and unfiltered information for investors and researchers. So I thought that was pertinent, and I thought it was good information to know. I feel like not everybody knows that, and I've had questions on that, and so I wanted to point that out. Now, Torchlight Energy transaction overview. Again, 25%, 75%. So 25% company post-closing, and in exchange issue shares of the common stock for Meta common shares representing 75%. Now, Torchlight will declare and issue shares of Series A preferred stock to holders of Torchlight common stock representing 100% of the value of its existing oil and gas assets, which we will talk about later in this video. Now, preferred stockholders will hold the rights to receive a cash dividend, so that's what I want to highlight, a cash dividend on a per preferred share basis of any net proceeds received from the sale or disposition of oil and gas assets owned by the Torchlight prior to the early December 31st, 2021, or the date which is 6 months from the closing of the arrangement. So guys, again, facts, keep that in mind, just remember. Now, during the sale period, the company may spin off or sell any other remaining oil and gas assets, which they will because it's all about Metamaterials. All right, now let's keep moving on. Now, Metamaterials shareholders may elect to receive either shares of Torchlight common stock or shares of a Canadian subsidiary of Torchlight, which will be exchangeable into Torchlight common stock. Okay. Now, holders of the exchangeable shares will be entitled to cast votes on matters for which holders of Torchlight common stock are entitled to vote, and will be entitled to receive dividends that are economically equivalent to the dividends declared by Torchlight with respect to the common share. Now, Torchlight will declare a dividend of preferred stock to its common shareholders on the record date, with such dividend being payable immediately prior to closing the transaction, which, guys, it's gonna be, we're gonna be finding out this information, especially with the merger, which is gonna be 30 to 60 days, and they just recently let us know that, so keep that in mind. Now, Torchlight regains compliance with NASDAQ listing requirements. So if you didn't know this, what I wanted to point out that the NASDAQ stock market stating that the company has regained the compliance of the $1 minimum bid price listing requirement. So they have to have at least the equivalent of the price of $1 in order to still be part of the NASDAQ. That's one of the minimums and the requirements in order to be part of the public trading market. So I wanted to point that out because it's really important. So this is what it says. If a company trades for 30 consecutive business days below the $1 minimum closing bid price requirement, NASDAQ will send a deficiency notice to the company advising that it has been afforded a compliance period. So now here with the compliance period, it's 180 calendar days to regain compliance with the applicable requirements. So thereafter, if such a company does not regain those compliance with the bid price requirements, a second, so this is the good thing, this is what I wanted to point out, a second 180-day compliance period may be available. A company listed on the NASDAQ capital market may be eligible for an additional 180-day compliance period if it meets the market value of publicly held shares requirements for continued listing. So I want to keep that in mind, guys, because it's really important. It also says, except for the bid price requirement, and provides written notice that it intends to regain compliance with the bid price requirement during the second 180-day compliance period. So by effecting a reverse stock split if necessary, which we've heard those before as well. So again, I wanted to keep that in mind. I thought this was really important information, and so we just closed today at $1.80. I think we had a high of $1.89 and a low of $1.78. So keep that in mind. We need to keep that minimum there. It's very, very important. Now, also what I wanted to point out for the dividends, kind of get an idea of the projects that they have going on that they're going to be selling. So over 100,000 plus net acres. Okay, between 2019 and 2020 to move monetization of non-core assets and market for the sale to larger established public E&P stock sale. So here are those areas, right? And those are those main three projects that we're talking about. All right, so I just wanted to point that out. Now, here's the other thing, and this is really good, I personally think. So in the basin area, okay, which is going to be way far west Texas, in those areas at the same time with these drilling companies, right, with the midstream companies, you've got Oxy, which by the way they do both. You've got Oxy, you've got Hunt Oil Company, Discovery, Own Resources, major companies over there that are premium blue chip midstream companies are in that area. And so keep in mind, which is to me is really good news, is it's not going to be that hard to sell these assets. So it's really great. But I thought the pictures with the maps, where they're plugged, where they're drilling currently, I mean, I thought that was pretty interesting, really cool. So I just wanted to point that out. But really good for us in that favor. Now, again, 133,000 acres in the Oro Grande Basin, 12,000 in Project Hazel, and 1,080 acres in Winkler Project. Now, I can tell you, those are really expensive. I know that area, that's one of the most highly sought after areas, and I'm not saying it just to say it, but in the Midland type area, right? Especially in that basin area, I'm not joking, it really is a prime real estate for oil. So I don't think we should have any problems getting rid of those assets for the dividends. So Meta, market opportunity driven by several mega trends. So here's the cool things about Meta, okay? 5G infrastructure. First of all, look at this map. You've got communications, sensing, vibrating, dampening, and other. And then it just shows the millions. So you got 5G infrastructure. Rollout requires new materials for transparent antennas and reflectors. You've got vehicle electrification. I mean, EV, which everyone knows, that's big. And then you've got the autonomous vehicles. Major. But in the energy sector, they're in the medical sector, aerospace. I mean, it is unreal. But the technology is what I enjoy the most. But expected to grow to 10.7 billion by 2030, which is literally right around the corner. It will not take long for us to get there. Now, Here's another thing that I noticed, what I thought was awesome. It says, the highest speed 5G signals need line of sight, requiring placement of many small cells. Well, the technology that they have passive transparent window film reflects signal to cover those dead zones. The mega trend, carriers are spending billions on this infrastructure. Billions just for this 5G coverage. And I love the demonstration that they have showing and how it works. It's pretty interesting. So again, with the 5G signals don't penetrate glass, buildings, and require installation of internal networks. Here's their solution. Passive transparent window film passes through 5G and digital TV signals, which means windows, which is going to be all over. All over. So here's what I was talking about with the autonomous driving. So autonomous vehicles depend on an array of cameras and sensors to see and understand their surroundings. So here's the problem though. In these areas in the winter, right, you're going to have the fogging. So they have this type of conductive film that does the defogging without blocking the camera and sensor functions. That is a incredible technology and a massive deal. So I really wanted to point that out because it's ahead of its time. That's really smart, and I really like that. So those type of sensors, it's a big deal. Now, check this out. Transparent sensors, again, with 5G antenna. So the touch sensors and transparent antennas can be integrated into smartphone displays on windows of vehicles or buildings and home appliances. So with these smartphones, which means a bunch of phones, so think about the sectors. I cannot stress just how important it is to think about all the different industries that they're tackling and how great it is that you can use their technology for all these things. So then you've got the glasses, right? So optical elements, which I appreciate because I've got contacts and glasses, which I've been wearing since 6th grade. So man, if I could have something like that, this is awesome. But 70 patents, trademarks, and trade secrets, proprietary software and designs, right? So high volume, fully automated lens casting, workstations, tools, test equipment, and technical data. So here's the thing, highly sustainable process, less energy, zero water usage, and less material use. That is great. So not only you have this great technology, which is great for the individual, but it's also great for the surrounding area and outside. So less usage, less everything, but still getting that technology out there, which is awesome. Then you go over to the medical area, right? So you've got the medical application. So what they wanted to point out is this is mid to long-term, 2 to 7 year potential. But they've got MR, medical imaging, early stage breast cancer screening. So that's with the radio wave imaging. Then you got non-invasive glucometer, which is a massive deal. And then you've got the daily use biophotonic sensor with sensitivity and performance enhanced nanomaterials, right? And so that's going to be the point of care testing. Again, major deal. And then it shows what the market potential is. 2+ billion, 4 billion, 15, and 10. Again, what more do you need? And they're just getting started, and they're such cheap stocks. It is unreal. Here's the other thing. You've got the customers. Selected target co-development partners and customers. So they're all over it's just crazy. You got Mazda, Samsung, Panasonic, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, which is a huge company. This is great. And again, Thermo Fisher Scientific, that is another big company. If you've never heard of them, definitely check them out. They're more on the safety data sheet and the chemicals and all that stuff. Sony, obviously everybody knows these name brand companies, guys. These are blue chip companies, major deal. So, if you haven't got it yet, guys, I really enjoy talking about this overall merger. I'm super excited. Then they've got the advanced materials competitive landscape. You're like, well, what about the people they're competing against? What about those guys, right? What about those people? So metamaterial companies, emerging, disruptive performance, low cost, high margin. Then you've got chemical and specialty materials, okay? Bulk materials, incremental performance. Then you've got carbon nanomaterials, early stage, difficult to scale, low performance, very expensive. Semiconductor materials, okay? I mean, look at, they even show the companies. It's amazing. You know, process slow, expensive to scale, rare earth price exposure. Then you've got the precious and metal price exposure, average performance. I mean, they're being super transparent, which again, I really do appreciate, because when you're showing the numbers, when you're showing, well, what about the people we're competing against? What about, well, what kind of technology do they actually do? What can they actually do and perform? They're laying it right there in front of you. Now, intellectual property, this is another thing I wanted to point out, which I thought was a big deal. Meta has 89 filed patents, 54 granted across 28 patent families, or 21 granted, 5 registered trademarks, and then you've got proprietary custom manufacturing process and trade secrets developed over 10 years with multi-million-dollar investments. Then the new Interglass acquisition added 70 plus patents. So clearly they're creating that foundation. They're making sure that they've got it on paper. I mean, again, all catalysts that I appreciate, that's going to help us in the long term. Then you've got the executive team. I mean, if you look, you've got minimum of 10 years, but the majority of them have 20 plus years, all in the holographic, lithographic nanomaterials, which, I mean, what more could you ask for when it comes to the experience? I mean, it's their whole lives is dedicated towards this. So here's the last thing, and then we'll finish it off with the chart analysis, which is going to be this: scalable revenue and business model. So they've got the design test samples, then they go from the wafer scale validation, the R2R license pilot line, and then the multiple revenue streams. I mean, clearly, look at the revenue streams. They've got 6 of them: license fee, master supply, royalties, equipment supply, raw material supply, agreement, service, NRE, contract. Meta owns IP. Amazing. Which, again, super transparent. Guys, I hope this added value. I put a lot of effort into this. I was trying to just give as much facts and straight to the point as possible. But with that being said, let's check out the chart. Okay, so let me touch base real quick. So now, when it comes to the candlestick chart, it's a simple method of displaying price information in the market. Unlike a simple line chart, each series on a candlestick chart contains the 4 data points: the opening price, the high price, the low price, and the closing price. But what you got to keep in mind is the anatomy of the candlestick. So that's going to be the body, which indicates the open and close range, the wicks, also called tails or shadows, which are the long thin lines above and below the main body, which these reveal the intraday highs and lows. Then you have the color, which I feel like most of us understand what that represents, but that's the direction of the price movement: green, which shows price increase, and red, which shows price decrease. Okay, so when you're looking at this chart right now, you're looking at the trend line. All right, now we've had a few catalysts throughout the past couple months, which I've kind of talked about earlier in this video, right? So that's going to be the merger, when they sell some assets, when they've talked about, you know, certain situations like the dividends, right? So those catalysts are what's going to pump the stock, right? Now, keep in mind, you've got a lot of volume on certain days. So, for example, on February 10th, February 16th, right? So you got to keep expanding it so you can see what's moving currently. So even on the 15th, it was green. But again, we've had that price correction overall through the market. But here this past week, in the last couple of days of last week, we had the infrastructure plan, which is going to touch base with electrical vehicles, charging stations, highways, airplanes, which these are all sectors that metamaterials technology is going to be used. So if you're looking at in third quarter, fourth quarter, I can see this finally getting the support and getting past that resistance of $2, and then as soon as they merge, that's going to be another catalyst, which is going to drive it up even more. So I'm looking at the possibility of maybe even $3. We'll just have to see how it goes. But with that being said, guys, I really do appreciate you taking the time to listen to this video.